Did you realize through all of these stories and the people that you spoke to that the way they saw the world was any differently from
Mhm.
from other people? Because I know that like that's kind of like the byline of the book, and
Mhm.
I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah. So this is just, trying to suggest here are strategies that maybe you don't know about or that you don't use or that you aren't mindfully using. Maybe you do use them, but here is, I can teach you why what you're doing is actually
Hmm.
important and effective. And the idea does come down to sight. I think there's great power for those of us that have the sense of sight to be able to use it. More of our neurological real estate, more of our brain space is taken up by processing our visual experiences than anything else, more than taste or touch or
Wow.
smell or hearing. Our brains love to see. They dedicate a huge majority of resources to it. There's also phrases like seeing is believing. And we do have that sort of naive realism that what we see reflects reality the way that it is. But there's lots of examples of where that isn't the case. If you remember the dress that went viral on social media, is it blue and black or white and gold or whatever? There's visual
All
illusions that
right.
are out there that are prime examples of how like we don't all see the world the way that it is. And I don't like who's right in that case. Are you right and I'm wrong? Am I wrong and you're right? But those are so fun because they're so sort of rare that we have that insight. But if our brains really like to see and we really trust what we see, why don't we leverage that? Why don't we take advantage of that to try to help us with our goals? So, like I was saying, like put it in your calendar. When you see it in your calendar, you'll work the rest of your life around it rather than just trying to rely on memory. What is going to help us more? Seeing it or remembering it? Seeing it is going to help us more. And there's lots of examples of that in the book. Just to land with one last concrete one, is like, how can we see the world differently? One of the first big explorations that we did was into exercise and looking to see how can we help people to get more steps in, increase the intensity of their physical activity. Are there strategies that we can use? I first started by interviewing some of the fastest male runners in the world, and asking them, like, what do you do? I thought they might have like superpowers of perception that they could like see the goal, but also see where all the competition is. And that's how they could stay ahead of everybody. They're motivated by making sure that they stay ahead. And they said, no, that's not what they do at all. They choose a target, they stay narrowly focused on that target. And if they don't do that, then they know that they should because they think it's more effective. And it's not just male sprinters that do that, but when I started looking into like what is the first woman who ever won the marathon in the Olympics, like what does she do? Same idea. Focus on something until you hit that target, then reset the next target and focus just on that. This sort of narrowed focus of attention was different than what I thought would be the case for how do like fast runners do their thing. But then I got it. What they were saying is like they just keep setting these small incremental goals. They hit it, they reset the next one. They hit it, they reset to the next one.
Right.
Well, I can teach people that. I can teach people about what it means to imagine that you have a spotlight shining just on a target up ahead. Imagine that you have blinders on the sides and you're not paying attention to what's on the left and the right. And do that until you hit the target and then set another one. Okay. You could imagine it just as I said it.
Hmm.
And people can, and they do. And when they do that, what we find when they adopt that style of looking at the world around them, they move 23% faster, and they say it was 17% easier. When they use that strategy, and they can use that strategy well after we're standing there watching and observing what they're doing. And when they learn that strategy, they go out for walks more often. They take more steps in each of those walks. They're increasing the frequency and the intensity of their activity by simply shifting away from what was at least my default thinking on what makes people effective at exercising, what can increase the intensity of their exercise. It wasn't what I thought, but it's something that I can learn and that I can teach. And that when other people learn that, it also has similar improvements for how they go about their exercise goals. So that's
Right.
one example about how just gaining some insight about how are we looking can change what we're doing and the progress that we're making towards, in this case, our health goals.
Right. I really like that. Even applying it to, I guess, an instrument or writing, you could be write a section of this chapter or write this chapter, because chapters can be done in a week or a month or a smaller amount of time, where a book might take a year or 2 years, etc., and need a lot more. So I like the idea of completely resetting. So even not thinking that this is one part of a whole, just thinking, no, this is the part. this
Mhm.
is the thing, and then once that thing's done, then you can open the door to everything else. If it's a song or a part of a song or whatever.
Yeah.
I like the bite size approach to achievement.
Yeah. Thanks.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, so I want to say thank you very much for being here. I'm excited to dive more fully into the book myself and get my highlighter out.